from Abuja.
Hello, thank you for being a part of our show. We appreciate you. I'm Magnus Paco, and this is Magnus Paco GVA, Global Views Africa. As you know, it's all about how we can raise the level of living. That's what it's all about. In view today, poverty and the insecurity of things. We have all heard of the Internet of Things, where, according to Oracle, describes the network of physical objects, that is, things, that are embedded with sensors, software, and other technologies for the purpose of connecting and exchanging data with other devices and systems over the Internet. Now, because of this and other advances in technology, we are now increasingly facing a growing insecurity of things as people use new knowledge to make everything more insecure, therefore worsening the real problem, which is human insecurity. Today, Salama Tanko and Oyekunle Adesina, two of our lead researchers here at EGDC and EBS, will join me to look at how human insecurity is eroding any gains in the fight against poverty in Nigeria. But before this, in our hidden economics, how do we train wahala away? Now, up next in our quick view, we briefly evaluate internet poverty. That's coming right up. Recently, internet access has been viewed as a basic requirement and practically placed in the class of food, clothing, and housing. And as a regular advert in Nigeria goes, data is life. Obviously, data is needed to access the internet. Internet access success can be measured in terms of affordability, quality, and quantity of data. The Internet Poverty Index of the World Data Lab is an index that measures how many people can or cannot afford a minimum package of mobile internet. The index is based on three assumptions. Affordability, where up to 10% of total individual spending is assumed. Quantity, where 1 gigabyte per month is assumed. And quality, where 10 megabytes per second download speed is assumed. According to World Data Lab, globally, over 1.39 billion people, or around 17.8% of the world population, currently live in internet poverty. 18 out of the 20 countries with the highest percent of internet poor people are in Africa. In this connection, which among the following countries has the highest percent of internet poor people from its population? Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, or South Africa? Stay with us for our answer coming up shortly. You can also send your answer to our social media handles and win a prize. Still in view, Nigeria, poverty and the insecurity of things. Now up next in our hidden economics, to train away wahala.
Problem in all the finish. Make you try to enjoy. While I know the finish, oh, make you try to enjoy. kata kata uru uru no the finish. Make you try to enjoy. Problem in not the finish. So make you try to enjoy. Make we dance like Luala, yeah, Luala. Make we dance like Luala, yeah, Luala.
The song Wahala by Wanda Banton, whose real name is Godson Ominibie Teddy Epele. Wanda Banton is a popular and sensational Nigerian dance hall singer, songwriter, music producer, and performer from Rivers State. He grew up in Port Harcourt and later relocated to Lagos, where he secured a record label deal with Square Ball Entertainment. So in the song, he says, "I no like wahala," which in Nigerian Pidgin English just simply means, "I don't want trouble or stress." So he wants you to realize that there will always be trouble, because wahala, they finish. Meaning that there will always be stress or some kind of trouble. So learn to avoid it.
Problem the finish. Make you try to enjoy. Wahala the finish. Make you try to enjoy. Say kata kata uru uru no the finish. Make you try to enjoy. Problem the finish. So make you try to enjoy. Make we dance like Luala, yeah, Luala.
So, would there really always be trouble? And is there a way to deal with it? Yes, in this world, there will always be trouble. But indeed, there is an assured personal solution. But given our secular conversation today, let's look at it this way. Now, all societies face the problem of how to make the best use of limited or scarce resources. This is what is called the economic problem. Indeed, the economic problem exists because although the needs and wants of people are unlimited, the resources available to satisfy them are limited. And then there are the issues of choice and opportunity cost. Given that resources are limited in quantity and in use, producers and consumers have to make choices between competing alternatives. Unfortunately, these choices always involve costs, which are sometimes serious. This is what often causes the wahala, because sometimes people fight over the matter because they can't agree on how to allocate the available resources and the costs to be addressed. In addition, the matter is often compounded by the issue of equity in distribution or consumption, which is justice according to natural law or right. So, to overcome the associated wahala, you need human capital development to increase the stock and quality of the skills and attitude needed to boost productivity through improved efficiencies in resource allocation. So folks, the solution is all in human resource training, since it is now easy to see that trouble or wahala occurs in society because of inefficiency in the allocation of resources. And human resource training is basically about how to understand, develop, manage, and allocate the pool of human capital available to society or an institution. As we know, human capital is critically needed in the efficient allocation of the factors of production and in the determination of optimal consumption. So, human resource training can be used to end most wahala because it increases the stock and quality of human capital that can help end most wahala in society. The people perish for lack of knowledge. Our hidden economics for you.
Problem in the finish. Make you try to enjoy. Wahala in the finish. Make you try to enjoy. Say kata kata uru uru no the finish. Make you try to enjoy. Problem in not the finish. So make you try to enjoy. Make we dance like Luala, yeah, Luala. Make we dance like Luala, yeah, Luala. Make we dance like Luala, yeah, Luala. Make we dance like Luala, yeah, Luala.
Before we start our discussion, here is our quick view answer. South Africa, with 63.3% of its population internet poor, ranks the worst among the countries listed here. Burundi, with 96.6% of its population internet poor, tops the world in internet poverty. Numerically, Nigeria leads the world in this regard, with over 100 million people in internet poverty. So let's get to it. The insecurity of things. But what we're really concerned about is human insecurity. The demand for the security of things is a derived demand from the security of people. If the people are not there, of what use will be the security of things? And so to examine this, I will have with me Salama Tanko and Oyekule Adesina, two of our lead researchers here at EGDC and EBS. Salama Tanko is our manager and lead researcher here at EBS and EGDC. Oyekule Adesina is our lead economist and researcher also here at EBS and EGDC. They will join us in our discussion when we come back. Stay with us. Don't go away.
Welcome to the InView segment of Magnus Sparkle GVA. Today on this segment, we'll be focusing our discussion on human insecurity and poverty. We'll be discussing how it affects human capital development and the people in general. So we are looking at human insecurity and poverty. I would like to ask that, is poverty a threat to human security? What is causing the problem we are facing right now in Nigeria? We're seeing that insecurity is on the rise. We hear of attacks every day. People can't travel on the road, the train, especially the road from Abuja to Kaduna is on high risk at the moment. Is it poverty that is causing these problems for us, or is it the insecurity that is increasing the level of poverty that we're seeing in the country?
Okay, well, I think that clearly poverty and what I call poverty stress. I've been talking about poverty stress for years, since I was in a poverty eradication field. Because of the dependence, that people have on certain people, they create great stress on the person that would have been otherwise successful. So that's poverty stress. It is derived from the poverty of people in severe poverty. And I think that stress is causing people to look for whatever ways they can use to increase their incomes. And sometimes some people resort to very untoward ways, like kidnapping and terrorism, and banditry, or whatever you may call it. But I think that in poor countries, poverty clearly has a role in in exacerbating insecurity. But truly, they are both forces that drive a vicious circle. So while poverty will lead to insecurity, insecurity itself also creates poverty because then people are not able to work due to insecurity. They don't go to their farms, they don't go to work, they don't go to school, and then that causes more poverty, as they are not able to work due to fear of kidnapping, of terrorism, and what have you. So I think that there are forces, to put it very clearly and properly, that there are evil forces that drive a vicious circle.
Yeah, so that's good to know. You mentioned very good points for people to know that these things work hand in hand. Poverty and the insecurity that we are seeing, that both of them go along with each other. So I'd like to ask Mr. Kunle, how is this insecurity affecting the Nigerian economy and people's human capital in general?
Well, for me to answer that, I would like to lean on something Professor created, which is the human insecurity vicious circle that talks about the insecurity leading to corruption. Then from there, you have the low potency and the uncompetitiveness of the people. Now, it's a cycle. Because people are afraid, it means their productivity will become low. And when that happens, I mean, people will look for escape routes, just like we mentioned. One effect we can see there quickly is the human flight and brain drain. Is that a lot of people, and why do people move? Two main reasons. Number one, when there's tension when there's economic deterioration in their home country. And number two, when there is fear, which is caused by insecurity. When people are afraid, they move. They move to other countries. That's why you find Nigerians are moving. And these people, when they move, it means we will have low human capital here. And when that happens, it means the economic growth, it keeps evolving. The ones that are left, they are even afraid to go to school. It means it becomes uncompetitive, and which will also put a stress on the economy.
So let's look at the Kaduna issue, the issue that Kaduna people are facing. People in Abuja or other parts of the country can hardly go to Kaduna. If you want to fly to Kaduna, it's very expensive and very few people can afford that, looking at the situation of the country. You can't go by road. The last time I went to Kaduna by road, I think my heart was in my mouth before we got to Kaduna. And then even by train, we thought we were comfortable, but now it seems it's going to be the same thing when you're traveling on the train. Since the attack, you feel you won't be comfortable, and then the fear of going. A lot of people will not be able to go to Kaduna. So why the situation? Why do you think that the constitution is in Kaduna? And then we see that the federal government is not saying much. I look forward to hearing something that will encourage me from the government, but I'm not hearing it. So the governor of Kaduna just spoke recently, but I feel it's not so encouraging, or it's not something that is very encouraging to encourage the people. We're expecting a lot from the government. Why is it Kaduna? Why do you think it's Kaduna? And why is the federal government not doing so much to bring an end to this problem that we're facing?
Kaduna has historically been the political center of the North. And the terrorists, they call them bandits, are mostly operating in the northern part of the country. So they also go to the capital. So they try to go to where they think the action is, where they will get the most visibility. And it's really not just a Kaduna issue. I think it's a national problem. And it's just exposed in Kaduna, and it exposes the weakness that we have in tackling this problem. But I think also that they probably are people that want to come to Abuja. And maybe the security in Abuja is a little too much for them at this time. And we should see this as a signal, as people on the way to embarrass the country going to the national capital. So they're going to the political capital of the North, it seems to me, in preparation to wanting to go to the political capital of the country. So we should take this seriously. I think that's one reason they're going there, because they're going to where they will make a loud sound, big noise for the world to hear. I'm Professor Magnus Paco, and I'm inviting you to join me in our meeting annual global conference of the Africa Forum at the University of Texas at Dallas, AFUTD. It is an arena to share ideas and practical solutions to the huge human capital deficiency problem in Africa. Using study tours, product expos, lectures, seminars, workshops, debates, culture, and fun to promote global business partnerships and other productive relationships with Africa. The Nigeria government data shows that only 41% of the population lives below the poverty line. This is the received data, but it is hard to believe. Okay, let's pretend that we believe it. Even so, it is likely to become much worse. The Nigerian economy has averaged just about a 2% growth rate in the last 10 years, and even down to 1.5% on average in the last 5 years. Both figures well below the official population growth rate of about 2.7%, a clear immeasurizing growth mode of poverty and agony. Almost always, declining economic growth rates produce rising poverty rates. And then human insecurity and poverty tend to be highly correlated. So no one should be surprised at the rate of rising insecurity in the nation. Now, quite often, people and even governments take great measures to secure things from vandalization or terrorism. So what we often see is great concern for the insecurity of things. People take great measures to protect their things like cars, TVs, appliances, and even canoes, machetes, and hoes. But the insecurity of things is really a symptom of the problem, which is really the insecurity of persons, or just simply human insecurity. The insecurity of things is a serious problem because it can be very costly to lose your valuable gadgets, especially if you happen to be poor. So if you are in a village and they steal your goat or chicken, this can be a very life-shattering experience. And as we all know, when economic conditions deteriorate, people's goats and chickens tend to go missing. So indeed, increasing insecurity of things is a signal that human insecurity is getting worse. Indeed, in the future, which may even be right now, the insecurity of things will be exacerbated by the Internet of Things. So much richer people who have no goats and chickens running about their homes will need to pay attention, because poverty and poverty stress among educated people is already causing people to use the Internet of Things to hack into other people's personal devices to transfer money or get confidential information. And a real problem is that human insecurity and poverty are forces of a vicious circle. They feed one another. But not to worry. What stops them in motion is human capital development, expressed mostly in good leadership. This really does the trick. I'm Magnus Paco, and that's my view.
Adonai,